Welcome to Retro Scale Modeling. This is part 5 of the DeAgostini's Star Wars Millennium Falcon build scale, approximately 172. In this part, I'll be working through issues 11 and 13, which mainly is working in the entertainment area of the ship. So let's jump into this and see how I get on. Starting off with issue 11, you can see there the magazine and the parts. So I'll just quickly flick through the magazine again, and all I've got to do here is put some pipework in the main wall that I was working on earlier. So there's a few little parts here to put on, nothing major. This pipe has to be assembled, pre-assembled. Its location points are fairly simple, a little bit tight to place in. I did in the end have to open it up slightly just to get it in. Once I had it assembled, it was just a matter of putting it on the door. The little gaps that are around the frame is where I placed it. The instructions don't tell you exactly where to put it. I had to study the pictures quite a lot to make sure I was getting it in the proper place. And next to it, there's another pipe that goes on the inside of it. This is the lighter coloured one, and it was fit exactly the same way as the first one. Onto the opposite side, and the pipes are larger, but it's exactly the same as the other side, apart from I'm not cementing in the end part of the pipe. But that's because that sits in the recess onto the deck, so I need that to move around when I actually fit the wall. And as I said, there's one or two to do. I've almost completed it here. Now it's time to test fit it to see how I got on. As you can see, the locations are clearly marked out. Some of these little dovetail joints are quite difficult to fit, and you have to put a little bit of pressure on. But that's mainly because it's sort of snapped together. But I would recommend using cement. So I'm just fitting in the end pipes into the recess point on the floor. Here I'm using Tamiya's XF12 Japanese Natural Grey. The reason why I'm using this on this colour here, the actual mould looks too plasticky. I didn't like how it looked at all, so I decided to paint in my own colour. On to issue 12 now. And in this issue, it's mostly some of the framework that I'll be making up here. So you can see the instructions there. There's it looks a lot to do, but it's actually not. It's just some plating that I'm putting together. So in order to put these together, they give you what they call ribs. They're basically struts, and they get screwed on to the frame. And this is what's connecting each frame piece to each other. The screwdriver that provided me is magnetic, which helps, but the head of it is not brilliant for these little screws. So you may see me changing different types of screwdriver, and that's why the head is not brilliant. In the end, I do actually use my own little dedicated screwdriver for this sort of work. It's important to remember if you're building anything like this that requires framework and screws, never to over tighten the screws. Always leave it loose until everything is in place before tightening it up. The reason for that is, one, you may end up stripping the screw off, which you really don't want to do. And also you can warp and bend the frame that you're working on. So again, you really don't want to do that. But as well, it's going to allow you movement within the framework as you're joining the parts, so that you know exactly where they go and how they should fit. And if you have to take them apart, it's quite easy to do so. Sometimes these struts have an extending piece to them, and of course they have to be joined together. There is an extending bracket or a joining bracket that just lays over the top. Now this machine part is not very good. The screws don't really fit well. They're meant to have a thread inside them for the screw to go in, but sometimes it's practically non-existent. In the end, when I put the screws in, I just put a little bit of super glue on the head of the screw on the inside part, so when I screwed it in, it was going to be solid. So I'm placing one of the last pieces in for this section. Again, just going down the struts now, just slightly tightening up the screws now that most things are in place. And there's one more strut to make up. Now, the instructions are very strange. They tell you to go step by step, don't deviate. And then when you get to this part, it says, oh, by the way, you should have made these ribs or struts up before connecting them, because it would be easier. Now, I did think about that, but I thought, no, I'll keep to the instructions. Then later on down the line, instructions that say, do it. You know, so it's a bit contradictory, but I suppose that's the nature of what with these sort of instructions. And once the rib is made up, it's time to attach it to the main part of the frame, and it just runs right down the beam here, and it goes and places on top of the frame. Well, actually, this is the underneath part of the frame. The top of the frame gets attached to the actual hull. So if you're doing something, just make sure you're getting in the correct position, or as you work down the line, you'll find that nothing fits. On to issue 13. You can see with the parts there's quite a few bits of process to do on this issue. So I'll jump to the instructions. You can see all the parts laid out. There's another piece of frame there, but mostly this is going to be working on the entertainment area, the deck area of inside the Falcon. So first of all, I'm just tightening up the screws of the little back panel there before putting in the seating area. The seating area has 3 location points. I did have to open these up slightly for it to fit. It was too tight a fit to get it in safely without snapping anything off. Next to go in was the holographic table. There's a little location just in the centre, and of course that's secured with a little bit of super glue. And then then I was able to place in the walls. Now each wall gets screwed into the adjacent one. When I done it, I put down a little bit of cement just to secure it while I was screwing in. This took quite a while to do. The pre-drilled holes for the screws were very tight, and I had to exert quite a bit of pressure to get these screws in. So just going around the different sections and screwing in these walls. The main side of the wall closest to the magazine is left open for now. And working on the interior there, this is the control panel box that I repainted, and this is getting some pipework added to it. And then that gets fitted on the back wall opposite the seating area. So as you can see, that's starting to take shape. So the next thing to go in is just tiny little bits and pieces of pipe and so forth that are going on the back wall. There's 4 little pipes that run, well they're not little, 4 main pipes that run on the opposite walls. Now the plastic on them looks too shiny and new, so I've decided to repaint them, and I'm using Tamiya's XF55 Deck Tan, and I'm using it on the main pipes as well. As you can see, it's a sort of grey colour, and I just didn't like it. It didn't look good real to me as such. It just didn't fit in with the interior, so I'm painting it the light colour. There was 2 screws on the inside of the wall here, and they don't sit flush on the wall, so I decided to remove them. So I'm just securing the wall with a little bit of super glue. And now the pipes are dry, it's time to place them in. So the first 2, the thinner of the 2, just sit on the actual floor of the compartment. I'm using XF55 Deck Tan once more, and I'm painting just a bit of scrap sprue here. And the idea here was to cover up the holes where the screws are, which I take it out. So I'm just putting like a grab bar pipe type thing. So while that's drying, I'm going to be placing in the main pipe, as you can see there. there's two circular location holes for this to fit into. So the second one is going in, and it's just going directly on top. I'm using River Aquacolor 90 Silver here to dry brush a metal effect on these struts. So these struts hold in the pipes I've just placed in. So this is just giving them that used look, so that you can basically see the bare metal coming through. And once that was done, it was time to place them in. And the location points are on the floor. That's the only contact points they have, and they just rest against the actual pipework. So I'm just placing in the last one now, and the next job will be placing in the piece of scrap sprue that I made up to cover up the holes for the screws. And this has been all in part 5. There's quite a lot to be done, so it's quite a good place to end it, I think. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? Subscribe to the channel and that notification button, hit it. That way you'll be notified of all the updates for this and other builds. Hit that like button, and of course leave a comment, and don't forget to share. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.